We are here with MBT trying to rate some Magic the Gathering cards, whether they are good or bad. Get your thinking caps on because we're about to see a crisp 0 for 5. You're going to get 5 cards. I mean, it doesn't have to be 0 for 5. It'll be 5 for 5. You're a really smart person.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, hoping you're smart in the Magic the Gathering section. I know you have a little bit of Magic experience. I know your name literally stands for a Magic term. So you wanna give us your experience playing Magic and maybe like why your name is what your name is?
Yeah. So no, unfortunately I played a ton of Magic. Across tons of different formats, across like tons of different competitive levels, up until exactly 2016. At which point, like, my focus just kind of completely shifted towards Yu-Gi-Oh! As I started putting time into the channel. The channel used to be called Mono Blue Tron in honor of one of my favorite modern decks of all time. Shouts out Shock Troopa. Still at it to this day, 10 years later. We're counting to 7 and then casting a Mind Slaver for some unbelievable reason. But no, I've played a ton of Magic, but unfortunately completely out of touch with any of the new cards. So like I can tell you a lot of the intricacies of like Rebels block constructed, but if you ask me like to rate like an Optimus Prime, I am going to be completely screwed.
Oh my gosh. Well, you might be getting a Lord of the Rings card. I know. Well,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I have some big news. I have just started a Patreon. So if you would like to help out the show monetarily, if you have that available to you, or you would even like to be a part of the show yourself, join my Patreon. The link is in the description below. I'm going to give you white, blue, a black, a red, and a green card. And you're going to tell me whether it is good or bad. Hopefully you've never seen this card before. Let's go ahead and kick things off. I'll get you started with the first card.
Okay. Oh, wow. So I guess my first question is, what is Ward?
Ward is, if they don't pay the ward cost, their spell or ability gets countered.
Oh God!
And
wait, that's awful.
It's only when it's being targeted by a spell or an ability.
They put like suppression field on a keyword. Oh my God!
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Pay3 life. That's a cool ability for a vampire. When you gain life, Amelia Benavides Aguirre, God, I hope that I am saying that right, explores. Then destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. Oh, this is a really tough one. So what context am I kind of trying to evaluate these in? Like
your context
like standard
is,
or in like commander?
Your standard is, it's a little bit like saying commander be super contextual because like any card can be good in commander, right?
Right.
So I'm going to say competitive 60 card formats, primarily like standard, pioneer, modern.
Okay. Well, this card's super aggressively costed. I personally really like it. Wonderful memories of playing like aristocrat style decks back in Return to Ravnica with a bunch of cards that looked almost exactly like this. And wonderful memories of original Ixalan playing cards that explored. I remember there was a 2-cost like green Merfolk that just ETB explored. And I remember that being like good enough to warrant a slot in a constructed deck. So I feel like that effect, especially if it's repeatable, is going to be crazy. I imagine that this destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20 is like just never going to happen in a million years. But I feel like the possibility that this card just ends up drawing you a couple of cards over the course of a couple of turns is fine. This ward, I think, is a trick. Like it makes it seems like it's like, oh, so your opponent won't target it with anything, but 3 life is like no. I don't know. I think this, despite the fact that like the ward cost seems kind of negligible and the like big explosive payoff I think is never going to happen. I think like the potential for repeatable explores on a creature this aggressively costed, I think it's probably pretty good.
Okay. You're right. Let me just throw you a little mind hack real quick. Do you remember the card Wild Growth Walker?
Yeah, is that the one? That's the
That isn't the one that explores. It's the one that you gain 3 life and put a 1/1 counter on it if you explore.
Oh, does this? Oh, I see. These two play very nicely with each other.
So it's funny that you said the exactly 20's never gonna happen, because when you gain life, you explore, and then when you explore, you gain life, and then this always happens. So this is a competitively play. This is one of the best decks in Pioneer, and Amalia plus Wild Growth Walker is the combo.
They let it be legal in Pioneer?
Yes,
that's so fun. They're out here telling us we can't play Splinter Twin in 2016. They're like, yeah, a couple of 2-drops that go infinite, you got it. And they don't even go infinite. They turn each other off eventually.
Yes.
What a fun design for a card.
Yes. Actually, in the recent Pro Tour, I believe it was in top 4. This card was in top 4. This deck. Yep. And you can even play cards like Collected Company to find these cards.
Coco! Oh, God, I love Coco.
Court of Calling as well to find these cards. And it was in top 4. And one person played a card that gave a creature indestructible. They gave the Wild Growth Walker indestructible 2 out of like the 6 games they played. And then it's an automatic draw. So you just have to go to the next game.
It's like an uncontrolled loop, right?
Yes.
That's funny.
I wanted to give you a funny card that you might misevaluate, so that's a funny one. But you ended up getting right. You said it's good, but it's for a different reason. But it's okay. You said it was good. Let's go ahead and
that deck sounds sick. You are one birthing pod away from really pushing my buttons. Oh man.
Oh, I personally think birthing pod should get unbanned in Modern, and that would also push my buttons because I am a sucker for a birthing pod deck. But you know, I can cry too. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the blue card that I'm going to show you.
Yeah, so this is I hope I'm saying this right. Lorraine Revealed. Wait, is this a Lord of the Rings card?
It is a Lord of the Rings card.
Yeah, you got the little hobbits there, I think, is what that's supposed to be. 3/2 blues, draw 3 cards, island cycling 1. This is a keyword I'm unfamiliar with. Discard this card, search your library for an island, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle.
That's the keyword.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this has got to be busted to shit, right?
I mean, why?
Well, I mean it doesn't say basic island, you know? It feels like it fixes your mana for you in a scenario where you already have a bunch of lands. You can theoretically hard cast it. I imagine no one really wants to do that, but you could. Ah, man, I have fond memories of playing really terrible cards because they had a cycling costs, but wow, any island. And islands are so good now. There's so many of them. It just seems crazy to be like, yup, as an instant speed at the end of your first turn, your mana is fixed. And if you have too many of them, draw 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems crazy. It seems
crazy. Yeah, this card's crazy. Yeah. It's really good. The island cycling, there's notable cards that are like really broken islands. I don't know if you've heard of Mystic Sanctuary.
No.
It comes into play untapped if you control 3 or more other islands. And then when it comes into play untapped, you get to put any instant or sorcery from your graveyard back on top of your deck. And like you can use a fetch land to fetch the Mystic Sanctuary. It's banned. It's banned in Modern. Mystic Sanctuary is.
Awesome.
But in like Legacy and other Eternal formats and like Commander and stuff, you can do that with this card, which is kind of crazy. This card can search that card. There's also new Surveil lands that had just come out that are also have the island typing. That you know what Surveiling is?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of like Scribe, but you can put the card in the graveyard instead of keeping it on top. There's those cards. There's Triomes. There's Shocklands, and this card just searches them all. So really good. And
I was just thinking of shocks. I was like, whoa, you could probably do something crazy with Orobo Palace in the Clouds. That shit would be nuts. But wow, yeah, that's they printed a land that is regrowth. That's awesome for players who are not playing Modern, apparently.
Yes. Well, it was really, really good for a while, and then they got banned because it was too good. Oh yeah, really good. You Lorien Revealed for it, and you just play the Mystic Sanctuary, put the Lorien Revealed back on top, and then draw 3.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah.
That's yeah, pretty good. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to your your black card.
Oh,
that's a reaction.
Well, you're trying to trick me here. This is Demonic Bargain, doing a black. Exile the top 13 cards of your library. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so this is a send up to what? Demonic Pact, which is just do it. Toss one more.
Oh, Demonic Tutor.
Exile 13. Demonic Tutor. Diabolic Tutor. There's a million tutors, right? It's
yeah.
Demonic, Diabolic. Okay. Wow. This is really hard. Ormondal! Wait! That's the Liliana guy.
Yeah.
I remember we knew 3 of the demons forever, and we didn't know who Ormondal was. Do you guys have Ormondal yet? Is he just like a guy?
Yeah, I believe it's the back of a card, though, that has a flip.
Oh, what the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah, I can show you that. But yeah, Ormondal, I believe, is the back of a card.
This is really hard. Obvious parallel in Yu-Gi-Oh! With Pot of Desires, a card that banishes 10 face down and then draws you 2, which is insane. It's one of the best cards in the game. It helps in Yu-Gi-Oh! To conceptualize the card by thinking it of like the 10 cards that you lose could conceivably just have been 10 cards on the bottom of your deck you weren't going to see anyway. That is even more true in Magic, where like cards aren't nearly as accessible from the deck. The thing that's tripping me up is this does seem like a lot to pay. Like, it's so weird that the difference between 2 mana and 3 mana is so often the difference between being like busted to hell and completely unplayable. Ah, man, but search your library for a card. It's weird because like for 4 mana, you just get to do this on like Diabolic Tutor, right? And for 2 mana, the effect is so crazy that it's banned everywhere.
Yeah, 3 mana is definitely a weird spot.
Well, this is a really hard one.
I really wanted to give you this because of the obvious parallel to Pot of Desires, and you said Pot of Desires immediately, so that's all I wanted. And now it doesn't matter what you say, whether it's good or bad.
I'm ready to be just so fucking bad or so absolutely wrong about this, but it feels like in literally every format, from standard to obviously the eternal ones where you die in 2 turns, 3 is such an important turn. I don't know if you can spend it doing nothing. I'm trying to think of like context in like Legacy where you could just like Dark Ritual cast this turn 1. That seems crazy, of course. I'm gonna be terrible here. I'm gonna be terrible. I think this card is not great.
Oh, why did you choose that it was not great? Or are you guessing?
I think it's too much mana. I just think it's just a little too much mana.
Okay. Well, you are correct.
Oh.
Yeah, this card is really bad.
Oh. I thought it would be close at least.
No, it's not close. There's like a niche deck or two that like relies on things triggering when you exile cards that this can go in. Similar to like a Gren Maju type of thing, but for Magic. But this card is a little bit too costly to do, and the 13 cards, yeah, conceptually it's like kind of like Pot of Desires. It is a lot of cards, but Magic has 60 cards in it, so do the math on that one. But Demonic Bargain ends up being a little bit too slow and loss of tempo. So yeah, good job.
Okay,
I'm happy that it definitely threw you for a loop. That's for sure. Okay, let's go on to the red card.
Indomitable Creativity. Destroy X target artifacts or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until an artifact or creature is revealed and exiles that card. Those players put the exiled cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle their libraries. So I did play during this standard format, and this was not part of a standard deck, to my understanding. But it's one of those cards. Sometimes they throw Omniscience into like a core set, and you're just like, one day, one day there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So I guess the use case for this card is like you play like Mana Rocks or some sort of nonsense, and then convert them into like Blightsteel or something. I don't know what people use as a finisher these days.
Well, that would have the option to do Blightsteel, right? Because it's like X artifacts or creatures, and then for each permanent, they reveal the top until they reveal an artifact or creature. So like you could hit a mana rock and then just hit another mana rock. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like in the hopes that you would hit Blightsteel, I guess.
Man, to me it does not. It strikes me as a silly, janky win con. I would not be surprised if there is some extremely funny combo deck that uses this as some sort of enabler, but to me it's just not. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like the steps required to like consistently find X card is just so much more than like solving one of 15 other cards that win the game immediately for this mana cost. Yeah, I don't think this card is very good.
This card is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. It turns out you can play cards that are not artifacts and creatures that create artifacts and creatures without them being an artifact or creature themselves. Like Fable of the Mirrorbreaker.
Sure.
And there's other cards that can make things like there's a land that makes a token that you can fetch for. You can fetch for this land called Dwarven Mine, and it makes a goblin. If you control like 3 or more mountains, and then you do that on turn 4, fetch for the thing, make a goblin, and then pay 4 mana, cast Indomitable Creativity, target the token, and then the only creature you play in the deck, the only creature or artifact in the whole deck is the Haymaker creature or artifact. Which they use Archon of Cruelty in Modern, which is like an 8 mana huge Archon that when it enters the battlefield, your opponent like discards a card, sacks a creature, loses 2 life, and all that kind of stuff, and then you draw a card and gain 2 life and all this kind of stuff, right? And it's
like the cruel ultimatum on a monster.
Yeah, basically Archon of Cruelty. Yeah,
that's cool.
So you do that in Modern. Even in Pioneer, you get a Worldspine Worm, if you know what that is, and a Xenagos.
Worldspine Worm sound familiar. Xenagos the god?
Yeah, Xenagos is the god that gives things haste and doubles its power. And Worldspine Worm's like a 15/15.
Oh, I know this. Yeah.
Yeah.
People were tinkering with this back in the day. Is like, oh, this just wins the game, but not with this card, of course.
Yeah, this card you target 2 things. So like you play Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, you make the 2/2, you attack with the 2/2, and then you make a treasure, and then you go like 5th land, target the 2 things, and you get Worldspine Worm and Xenagos. Give the Worldspine Worm double power and haste, so you attack them for 30 for game.
I really appreciate that. Like, we are still inventing scape shifts in the modern era. Like, we're like, we can build our deck in such a way that this 4 mana sorcery wins us the game if it resolves. That's like, that's enjoyable.
People will always try to do that. You'll understand. There's even decks in Modern right now that uses Primeval Titan that win the game on turn like 2 and 3 nowadays. So you can do whatever you want to do in Modern.
Oh, I remember people playing. It's not Amulet Titan, is it?
It's Amulet Titan.
Oh my god, those people don't know when to give up. Didn't they ban 80% of that deck?
Those people don't know when to give up. They really don't. And you know what the funny thing is? They all think it's the best deck every format.
Yeah. You don't understand. This time the Karoo lands are really crazy.
No, for real.
Do people still try do they try like Goryo's Vengeance deck still?
People are still playing that, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Kamigawa and its consequences. That's wow.
Yes. People are doing that with a card called there's like a new Atraxa at 7 mana. You seen that card before? Oh yeah. It's really ridiculous. It looks at the top 10 cards.
Whatever happened to good old Gristlebrand?
Oh no, Gristlebrand's actually worse than Atraxa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can show you that card for fun sometime. You just look at the top 10 cards and get like one of each card type and add it to your hand.
Oh god. That's what? It's War Niv Mizzet, but
it is a Niv Mizzet Reborn, but it's better because you get a land, a new card type called Battle. You can get a Planeswalker, a creature, an artifact, and an enchantment, like basically everything, to your hand. And it's a 7/7 flying Death Touch Vigilance lifelink.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Anyway, time to show you the green card.
Okay, Rarran, Realmbreaker. Lands you control have add a mana of any color. 1 target land becomes a 3/3 elemental with vigilance, hexproof, haste. Mill 3 cards. Put a permanent card from among the milled cards into your hand. You get an emblem that says you may play land and cast permanent. You may play lands and cast permanents from your graveyard. All right. So what okay, you're gonna have to walk me through what's going on with Ren. I thought Ren was part of 6.
Ren is part of different trees, if you will. There's a Ren in 6.
Wait, so which one is Ren? Ren is the person?
Ren's the person. And Ren is a part of 6. There's also a Ren in 7. Yeah, it's a 5-mana planeswalker. And there's also this Ren and Realmbreaker.
Oh man, I have no idea what's going on here. Okay, so
what do I need to walk you through? Ask as many questions as you want.
Yeah, back in the day, a 3-mana planeswalker that entered with 4 loyalty was insane. It was broken to hell. You know, it could do anything. And people would play it. This And
I don't think you've seen a planeswalker with static text before. The static text of this planeswalker, the lands you control of add a mana of any color, just always applies no matter what.
I saw War of the Spark. I remember seeing spoilers and being like, nah, I'm out. But
you said, nah, I'm going to Yugioh.
No, it just ended up being around that time. And I was disappointed with how the story concluded. And there were 57 planeswalkers at Uncommon that had static abilities. And I was...
Yeah, then you got out and went to Yugioh. Similar to like Yu-Gi-Oh players are like, God, pendulums, I'm out. Let's play Magic.
No, if anything ruined Magic, it was the end of what? Type 1.5. Lands you control have tap, add a mana of any color. That seems insane, right? It's what, Chromatic Lantern, but just on a guy. You don't have to play Chromatic Lantern. Imagine showing this to someone who willingly cast Chromatic Lantern in like 2012. Being like, you paid 3 for that? This is an enchantment with 4 abilities. Target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental. The land gets vigilance? You're kidding me. Oh, wow. So you can attack with it, and then you can tap it for mana afterwards?
Yeah.
And haste. Oh, whoa. That's hilarious. Okay. I mean, I know that planeswalkers are super overtuned. I know that, like... I mean, Ren and 6 is a great example of them. I know that, like, a significant amount of them are allowed to just be the thing that wins you the game. But if this card is not broken to hell, I am just completely out of touch with Magic. There's just no way this card isn't insane.
You haven't even talked about the other abilities yet.
Well, the other abilities are, Yogg's Bargain. It's just on permanently. Like, enjoy the game. It's going to go pretty well for you, I feel. Yeah, there's just no way.
You trying to, like, deconvince yourself of something?
No, I'm secure in my guess. I think this card is incredible.
This card is really bad.
No, there is no way that's the case.
Listen, God. I would joke with you about this, but I'm serious. This card's not good. You're furious. No, you're not furious now.
I don't get it.
Okay, let me tell you why this card's not good. All right, Chromatic Lantern, at least you play it and you get to use the Chromatic Lantern mana immediately. But this one, the lands you control, there are decks that try to use this as Chromatic Lantern, but mana is so good nowadays that you don't even need that effect really anymore. The +1, make a land a 3/3, does not untap the land, like a card like Nissa who shakes the world from War of the Spark. So you need 4 lands to use that ability, which it is good. It gets Hexproof, Vigilance, and Haste, so you get to attack with it. That part is okay. The -2 is very underwhelming. If it said mill 3 cards, you can put any permanent from your graveyard back to your hand, that'd be great. But it says permanent among the milled cards, which is way, way worse. So, like, doing that and milling 3 and, like, hoping to get something you want, not very good.
You're trying to sell me on, Jace isn't great, like, you can only pick from the cards you reveal off the top. Like, this reads to me like better Mind Sculptor.
Better Mind Sculptor? That's a thumbnail right there. And the -7 is never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's Planeswalkers for you. Wow. It's crazy to be like, yep, you play this, comes in at 4, you tick it up to 5, pass, and it loses you the game. And it's nowhere near enough.
I mean, Liliana of the Veil is currently in Standard, and it's still not even played very often. I mean, it's played quite often, but it's not like one of the best cards.
The Liliana of the Veil?
Is
the
it
3-mana, same woman?
It got reprinted in Standard, yeah.
It's in standard and it's not being played?
No.
Well,
It's like niche in the sideboard.
what? What are you people doing over there?
It seems like you need to like come. You need to come like what is, I don't even know what the word for it is, but like tell Magic players what they're missing out on by not playing Liliana the Veil. Don't they know? Don't they understand?
2 piles. You get to pick. Wow, that's unbelievable.
2 piles.
Oh
yeah. I mean that card's in the sideboard against like control matchups and stuff, huh?
You're telling me this card's bad. You're telling me Lily's bad. Are people still at least trying to jund them out? In 2024, can you jund them out?
Yeah, you can jund them out. I made top 4 at an RCQ, Regional Championship Qualifier, like 2 months ago by junding them out. I lost in the finals,
okay,
but I junded them out. Yes, you can. And I played Liliana the Veil, one of in the main deck, okay? I'm one of those weirdos that plays Liliana the Veil, okay?
One of those weirdos. Wow. Cards must be really good now. They must be quite strong.
Yeah, that Atraxa card I was telling you about, the people Goryo's Vengeance for, is in standard.
Oh, it's not like, yeah, this was a design mistake from a side set. It's like, no, you could just do this. Yeah. I guess Gristlebrand was in standard and no one played it. Kind of tried it. Oh.
Yeah, so yes, Magic has gotten pretty power crept.
You guys still have like Theroses? You still have like bad sets?
Wow, I'm putting that in the video.
With like sets, no, like sets that like historically high power level, and then they're like, just release a bunch of fucking garbage. No, we got to bring this thing down.
They have those, but they put like one absolutely asininely busted card in it. All right, 3 and 2, we'll take those. It's not an 0 and 5. It's not a 5-0. 3 and 2. You use your Magic knowledge to gain the advantage. Okay, plus over the 50% threshold. We're doing good. If you'd like to come on the show again, definitely would love to have you back. Maybe we'll do it the opposite way around, where you give me Yu-Gi-Oh cards I've never seen before, because the last year of Yu-Gi-Oh, I have no idea what's going on. But anyway, if you watching at home would like to see another one of these videos, maybe you would like to be in a video just like this, join the Patreon. We have a section for that where you can be in a video yourself. Thank you once again, MBT, for being on. You were amazing as always, and we'll see you next time.
Very happy to be here.
All right, yeah, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.